As soon as it's live, there we go. All right, what's up, everyone? This is Isaac with Hunger Smash Fitness, coming to you once again. Today, I have Travis Ortmeyer on the live stream. Super excited to have you here, man. How you doing today?
Doing pretty well, man. Doing pretty well. You know, had a kind of light workout yesterday and the day off today. So my body, which was, you know, if recovered is here, my body was here. And I'm about here now, so feeling a lot better.
Bring it back up just a smidge.
Working its way back, yeah.
Nice. There you go. All right. Well, before we dive into it too far, I want to share. Here we go. Let's get this shared. So first off, I wanted to give a shout out to My Block Strongest Man. If you have not subscribed to him, please check him out. He's always putting up great videos, helps me advertise the live stream and all that sort of stuff. He's my partner in crime, I guess you could say, or something along those lines. I don't know how that works. But he's always putting up great videos. He put up a great one the other day that I just watched about the law of thirds with, if you've listened to Brian Shaw talk at all, he talks about that. Yeah, so check his channel out, give it some love. I had one quick question because I was going through my YouTube channel the other day. My most watched video is a random video I did about trapping crayfish. So if anyone has any answers for why that one is so popular, please let me know. I'm not quite sure why that one is the #1 video. But
you know,
I don't know.
One of those things people are kind of like, what the hell? How do you trap crayfish? If you want to call them crayfish. Crawdads where I'm from, man.
Crawdads, crayfish. When I made the video, because it was just, you know, it's a hobby of mine. I like to go catch them once in a while, and you know, I'm up north here, and apparently nobody does it around here, so maybe that's why everyone wants to check it out. But
an oddity, I guess.
Yeah, apparently that video took off. Like I understand like the Thor Ward fight and stuff like that. Like I understand some of those videos that I made, why they took off, you know, more so like crayfish. I don't know. I don't get that. But well, so let's start diving into it. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about World's Strongest Man. So which events you're more excited for? Which ones you think you're gonna just dominate everybody and destroy everybody, and which ones you're hoping that you don't end up doing?
You know, for me personally, for anybody, there's nobody that's going to dominate, man. So many guys at the world level are so freaking strong, and they're so good at every freaking event now. You know, I would love to say I'm going to dominate stones, but my last stone performance was abysmal, and I'm feeling a little bit nervous about it at the moment. Of course, I'm taking some steps to correct that, but
yeah. Stones, and I think stones have always been one of the, I mean, well, you held the world record and everything for a long time with them. I think stones are one of those things that, like, they've always maybe not come more easily to you necessarily, but like, you make it look a lot easier than a lot of other people. I'll say that much.
Well, I guess it's either easy or something is going horribly wrong. Like, I was running through them in Russia, and then all of a sudden, you know, the third one's going up, and it just kind of slips out of my hands. And I look down, my tacky is completely gone, and I'm drenched in sweat. Like, this shit. Shoot. Sorry. Anybody gets offended out there.
Not yet. No comment on it yet. So,
yeah. So, you know, but I guess to finish answering your question, events that I'm not looking forward to at Worlds, usually a squat is something I'm not looking forward to.
Okay.
Squat training has been going pretty well. So, yeah. On the other hand, though, you know, my ears are ringing usually until about noon the next day after squatting. So, you know, that's probably going to wear on the rest of my ability to compete if I have to squat. So,
yeah, I can understand that. Your ears ring after squatting?
Oh, yeah. It's because I put knee wraps on. I put a suit on. I haven't had a suit on in 10 years. And I guess being at the top, I was thinking about this with my training partner, being at the top and being able to brace so hard, so much air. I think it just pushes a lot of blood pressure up, more so than a deadlift. A deadlift, you can only get so much air before you're topped out because you're bent over and you got a suit on. It's even worse. But I just think with the squat, I'm able to just create more IAP, and it kind of blows my head up a little bit.
Yeah. To be honest, I've never used a suit, so I don't know. I have nothing to compare it with. I've never experienced that with squatting, but I could see that. Because you're getting a ton of extra pressure when you get that suit on, especially the deeper down into the squat you go. I'm training full depth right now.
Yeah. So if I'm even an inch or two above, every little bit higher I get, the stronger I get. I'm not one that's really good in the hole and then comes out and fails. If I can get out of the hole, I'm coming up. So that's unless of course, with 8-9 reps at 700, you might just fail at any point, So that kind of makes it a little different at that point.
I know. I think that's one of those things where it's like once you get into those heavier weights for reps, it's a whole different ball game. It's
Oh, man. And especially something like that. Squats tend to wreck me for a good 2 or 3 days afterward. Deadlifting with a suit does not seem to wear me out nearly as bad. I think without a suit, my low back takes a big hit just from supporting all that weight. So I'm usually kind of like my core feels a little shaky the next day. But with a suit on, usually I'm pretty okay the next day. Some other stuff might hurt a little bit more. But as far as, my ability to stand up and brace and hold myself and prepare for another event, my core feels pretty solid.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's maybe I'll have to look into getting a suit then. Because I like doing heavy stuff, but heavier squats.
Yeah.
Well, and to be honest, heavier squats and deadlift are in the 600s for me, not the 800s or anything. But they just kind of trash your body. And the next day, especially, I was doing some volume stuff the other day where it was 425, I think, for 8 to 10 reps every minute on the minute. And the next day, I was like, my whole back and hamstrings and everything were just burnt, completely dead.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a rest pause kind of thing.
Yeah,
the Weider principle. So it's like cluster sits, I guess. So you're able to hit more reps at a higher percentage because you're taking a little time in between to recharge. Yeah, that'll thrash you pretty good, man.
Yeah. It burns you out real well. You're shot the next day. So who are you watching for the squat lift? Who do you think is just gonna? Well, maybe not.
Man, top guys for the squats. Shaw is always good. Of course, Bobby Thompson. He looked like he was crushing the squat last year, and I think he's stronger now. Same with Graham Hicks. Graham Hicks. That guy just continually impresses me with his raw power. It's kind of interesting, and it pisses me off a little bit, Because I watched one video, he just crushes 330 for 6 easy reps. I don't think he's got a suit on or anything. He just bangs them out. I'm just like, screw you, man. God.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's a couple of those dudes. Graham Hicks, Adam Bishop is another one too, where I'm like, they're not
his deadlift power is insane. Yeah,
they're not that big compared. I mean, compared to Brian Shaw and Tom Stoltman and some of those other guys. But you watch them compete, and you're like, man, you're obliterating those numbers.
Dude, it's unbelievable. And then Adam Bishop. He's fast on his feet. He's really fast. He's fast like I used to be fast when I was, 275 pounds, 280 pounds. Now I'm 325 right now, and I feel every bit of it. I know that's not a huge weight, but when I combine the extra 10 pounds that I've gained, I guess, so far this year, in conjunction with heavy squat training, I tried to do some sprints the other day, and my feet felt like they were stuck in mud. This is freaking pathetic, man. It was awful.
No, I've been sitting at like right around 300 for a while now. And so it's getting more comfortable because I feel like the longer I sit at this weight, the more I'm like, okay, I can move, I can run, I can do my hill sprints, I can do, other little stuff and not be burnt out. But I know like I'd like to get up to 320, 330, somewhere around there. Cause I'm 6'5". Like I can easily put that weight on and
plenty of room.
Yeah. Still be manageable. But every time you gain weight, like it's extra lead in the feet. So
the best thing for that is, if you can gain weight fairly easily, gain 10, lose 5, gain 10, lose 5, or thereabouts. But when, say you get used to 310, you go down to 300, you're going to feel sprightly and light. And so I'm hoping, over the next month, my plan is to increase some of my, cardio, some high intensity cardio, and maybe drop 6 or 8 pounds and come in just a little bit lighter on my feet without losing any of the power.
Yeah. There you go. That's a good idea. Well, I mean, you got a little bit of it. Yeah. Oh man. I was looking through these. So, the loading medley, this isn't the one that they're actually doing this year, but loading medleys, they're fun. I love it when they use these funky implements. They don't just do just sandbags or something. It's fun when they have a blend of other stuff. But
it keeps it interesting, and 2, it's a new fun challenge for all the guys who have never seen this stuff before, and it kind of shows not only who's the strongest, but who can be the smartest and most adaptable.
Yeah, because they're funny. You got to figure out how to grab it, how to hold it, how to pick it up and put it on the platform and everything too. Like there's a lot of different stuff that plays into it.
They usually give us a whole day, or at least a whole session with the equipment before we compete. So we have it's called familiarization day.
Right.
I hope they still do that. But, for me, my problem is the day before a contest, I feel like crap. And everything feels so heavy and so impossible. And, as a good example, the shield in that first event in Russia, we had a block in this big odd-shaped concrete thing. We're all looking at it, trying it. And I kind of picked it up. I thought I was going to rip my arms out of the sockets. Like, I don't know how in the hell I'm going to move this thing tomorrow. Oh, my God. I was kind of losing sleep about it. And then once the whistle blows, I run through the blocks. I pick that thing up, and I just blaze over the line. It's like a whole different person. So, you could do all the familiarization you want and still come out with a completely different way of doing it when it comes time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that's part of it too, because I was talking to someone else about this. Like, Strongman favors like performers, I guess. Like, because it started out as a circus competition, circuses and bar rooms and stuff like that. And so, like, I've definitely noticed that too, where like when I'm in the gym, stuff will sometimes just feel heavy, and then when you get there and there's a crowd and everything else, and you're like, oh, like I'm putting on a show, and that more like, I don't know, like thespian performer type thing comes out, I guess. Like,
I call that being a gamer. It's when you show up on game day able to perform, and that's. The guys that trained with me there was a couple guys that would regularly beat me in training. on all the events. Never really stones in training. I still had that one, but all the other stuff, it was like a real battle. And it was, I was getting my butt kicked all the time. And then we go to a contest doing the same one. And it's like I gained 20% because Berserk mode came out, and it probably helped that I gave myself a full week to kind of recover a little bit. So my feet and body.
Right.
But mentally, just the fire came out. And, there's some guys that have talked about that. And it's always fun to hear people say that, the game day Travis is kind of an animal that is untamable. It's just some beast that comes out of the cage. And, for me, I don't really know where it comes from. It just seems to happen. And, I love when it happens because it means I'm on fire and I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know when it doesn't happen, it's like training Travis, and it sucks.
Exactly. Well, and the game day people are the ones that are fun to watch too, because you can tell that they light up, they're on fire, and you can feel that energy when you're watching it too.
I think you're absolutely right. I love guys that have some fire. I love watching the guys that they're kind of, maybe they can do this, maybe they can't do this, but by God, they're going to give it everything they've got. And then when they come out and just unleash, and you can see when they finish, that relief and that wave of joy and ecstasy that comes over them, and you can't help but feel that coming off of them.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Man. I just saw we have a couple comments in the comments section here too.
Okay.
So John's watching the live stream today, but he said Travis said he was training, but is on his IG. He said he's hanging around. So which is it?
It's all about balance, man. It's all about balance. You got to train hard. You got to rest hard. Sometimes you just need to play and let your body kind of relax. Now, quit giving me crap, man.
Yeah, exactly. And then he also said the loading medley will be related to the Knack sponsor, Huge Tools or something like that. So I think it'll be cool to see, funny implements. Figure it out day of, basically, or day before.
I guess whoever's got a knack for loading is going to come out on top.
There you go. You got to get the dad jokes out.
That might end up being a pretty cool event. I'm curious to see what kind of heavy ass tools they're going to come out with. Some like 300-pound adjustable wrench or something for,
I don't know,
heavy equipment thing.
I'm excited because Titan's sponsoring the train turntable or whatever they're calling it.
Oh, the Titan's turntable, yeah.
Turntable, yeah. There we go. I was looking up some videos of that. I can pull them up on World's Strongest Man Instagram later too. That looks cool. I was like, I wish I could just go out and push it.
It's awesome. I want to make the final. If nothing else, I just want to do that event.
Yeah,
that looks cool as hell.
Here we go.
Terrifying as hell too. It looks like, kind of a what in the hell are they thinking?
I know. I was like,
man,
this is insane. I kind of want to go just give it a push and just see if I could move it,
it was the same feeling with the Conan's wheel the first year they had it. Was it 2018? I think. Yeah, they had the Conan's wheel. And, kind of take a quick look around and go and shove it 30 feet. Yeah, that thing's awful. Man, that thing sucks. I'm curious to see if it feels as bad. I have a feeling this will be a harder start, but it may keep moving just a little bit easier. Like the Conan's wheel, that thing it does not get any momentum at all.
Right, because they had sand in the wheels or something in the Conan's wheel or something. So no matter how hard
that's it. They're barrel full of sand. So you kind of feel the sand kind of turning, and then it'll kind of go a little easy for a second, and then it's just hard as crap again. So
I know but like honestly, that's what I love about strongman though, is because like it's not just squat, bench, and deadlift. You're like, hey, what can we throw at the guys this time? What could we do that's going to be, insanely hard but fun?
The turntable thing. I mean, how many guys down there at the rail yard tried to outdo each other and push that thing by hand, or at least thought about it? That's such a man thing to do. And there's probably a lot of women out there too. Excuse me if I'm being sexist, but that's such a man thing to do. Is like, I bet you I could push that thing. And I'm sure the guys sitting around just kind of like, no, you can't. And then bets start going, beers start popping.
Exactly. Oh yeah. That's how. I mean, I did construction for a while, and that's always how it was. I mean, we'd have like, the bucket of a excavator. Someone would get switched out, and guys were like, "I bet I could pick that up." 450 pounds. Sure, let's see it. Like, put where your mouth is.
Those 400,000 or 500,000 years of evolution that just hasn't changed, man.
Guys are always the same. Okay, some are just bigger than others. That's
pretty much it, man. I love it.
But, oh man. And then John was saying we should give a shout out to your cousin, Raina Gale. Is it Raina Gale?
Raina Gale. Sure. Yeah, her last name's Harrison. This is my cousin.
Where was it?
She's in Southern California at I can't remember the name of the school. It's like something in Irvine, Concordia, I think, University Irvine.
Yeah, Concordia University.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so she's an athletic trainer. She does a lot of cupping. She does, as you can see here, kind of manual therapy. She got a little tool. She knows how to use she knows how to use the crap out of that tool. Yeah, she's really smart, man. It really impressed me. But she's working for the university, but then she's also it seems like she's kind of doing some freelance stuff where she wants to work on athletes and start her own thing. So anybody down there, I'd hit her up, man. She's very knowledgeable. I was yeah. And I've been to a lot of therapists and physios and all that stuff, and she was right up there. She was good.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's something that, like, I mean, because I'm going back to school to get my doctorate in physical therapy now. That's something that I've noticed is, like, after working as a physical therapy assistant, I got licensed as a PTA, and so I worked for a couple years doing that. And like so much of physical therapy and like that type of thing, like you can do all the schooling you want, but I've met a lot of therapists where I'm like, you're not that good. Like, like you just don't have that gift the same way. And then I've worked with others where I'm like, you walk in the room and they're like, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. We'll get this, corrected or whatever. And then you feel amazing going out. And it's a world of difference.
There's some people, the easiest way to kind of state this is like with a massage therapist or somebody just giving you a massage, just a normal person giving you a massage. So your girlfriend's rubbing your shoulder. Some people know how to like almost put themselves into your place and feel the muscle and move it. And then some people are just kind of jerky and push and yank. This is not working, man. Like, put yourself in this position. Imagine how this feels, and then try and translate that into what you're doing.
Yeah. There's some people that are really good at just hurting other people, but there's not really like a benefit afterwards.
Yeah. Pain doesn't always equal solution. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's something that I work, because like working with different patients, it's like, okay, well, like there's some people where I'm like, you need a very like gentle approach to try and encourage the rehab. And then there's other people where I'm like, we just need to beat this muscle up until it starts doing its job, and like,
I think a lot of that comes from, experience in maybe not doing strongman, but experience working their body. So they know what a knot feels like. They know what a ropey muscle feels like. They know what just an inflamed area feels like. And those all require different touch.
Mm-hmm.
Athletes working on athletes is usually the best way, or at least physically active people, I should say.
I would agree with that, definitely. It seems like generally, kind of it takes one to know one, I guess, or whatever that saying is. I think that plays off a lot in the rehab world, especially. But there were a couple other. Let me see. There was the train. Oh, and then the Fingles fingers too. I was excited to see that those are coming back. Haven't seen those in a long time.
I'm trying to think what the last year, it was probably 5 years ago that they had them. I remember seeing them somewhere. But that's a fun event, to be honest. It's hard. It's one of those things that if you can kind of embrace the suck, you can be good at it. But you just got to realize it's going to be hard. It's going to suck. And like this point right here where Raymond's is, I remember watching it because he gets it over like just in the nick of time. But it is the longest fight on a finger. That right there, most people would give up because mentally they're thinking it's not moving. I'm not getting anywhere. You just got to keep going and leaning into it and putting one hand in front of the other slowly but surely. And then there it goes.
Yeah, it's just inch by inch, it's moving. And but I love that. I love that intensity. And I know that, talking to some of the other guys, I was watching brothers and stuff talking about it. And they're like, the pick's the really easy part. Is really just once you get it up to shoulder length, once you get the arms extended, that's where it gets tough. And I've never tried it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's about halfway right there. See where it's falling on him? Halfway down is where you get all that weight behind you.
Yeah.
And it gets really heavy from there. So,
and it seems like Fingles fingers would be something that would favor more of the taller athletes, to be honest, just because your lever is going to be higher up. So you can get it further up before you have to start extending your arms. But even so, it looks like it's going to suck either way.
Height is a factor. Weight is a factor, but neither of them matter if you're standing. If this is the finger and you're standing like this, you're not putting any of your weight into it. If you're driving into it and using your legs, then you got your height and your weight going into your favor.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't have said that until after Worlds. So any of you guys are World's Strongest Man, just disregard. I was completely wrong about all of that.
Sorry, everyone just forget that last bit until later. We'll see. Oh, man. And then John has another comment here. He says, if they have some groups do train pulls and other groups do Fingles fingers in qualifiers, which would you prefer to do?
Good question.
We haven't had a train pull in a long time either. So,
well, see, I think this train pull is going to have that ladder set up because that's what they posted a picture of. And I can see that being the only good way of doing it on a train track, because if you're trying to you can't get any footing if it's just the gravel on the track. So I'm guessing that they'll have that setup, and it's a pretty cool setup. So I would have to come down to I've done fingers at Worlds. I've never done a train pull, and that looks pretty badass. I think they're both good events for me. I think I'd rather do the train pull just to say that I've done it. Yeah,
just to have something else under your belt.
Yeah, just the experience with the only time they did that was 2003. They did it on that bridge over the Zambezi River, and I think half the guys melted the calluses off of their hands.
That's right.
So I'll definitely be bringing some gloves for that one.
Yeah. That was something else that I wanted to ask like you or Brian or something about with gloves, because like I've seen some people wear gloves and I've tried wearing, like, it seems like most guys wear those gardening gloves with the rubber coating on the underside there.
Yeah.
I've tried trying to use that for some different stuff, and it never works out. Like if I get a size too small, then they just tear on me.
That's where I'm at.
And if I get them where they actually fit, then they're moving around and my grip is way worse. So like, how do you pick a glove size?
So I've only used them a couple times on events. I used them on the Power Stairs 2008 finals.
Okay.
Big mistake, massive mistake. I don't think I've ever used them on fingers. I don't think I've ever used them on any kind of arm over arm. But I will say that they work very well for sandbag loading. I have used them on that. They really do. They help for that.
Okay.
I don't know if getting a size that fit. I've got, pretty massive hand.
Yeah.
And they only go up to 2X at Home Depot. So, I think the glove comes down to about here. The rest comes down to here, but I tape it on. So, the fingers are a little short, but I'm not spreading my hand out. I'm keeping it pretty, closed. For anything where I had to move my fingers independent of each other, I think they would drive me insane. But something like sandbags, you're just cupping and grabbing and So
interesting.
I'll practice. I've got a pair. I'm going to practice on Frankl fingers just to see, maybe, just to rule it out and see if I like it or not. If it's it's okay, then it's one of those things. I will practice just to have that tool, that weapon in my arsenal, because if it's really hot outside, you don't want to burn the skin off your fingers.
Right.
In the qualifiers. So it's kind of important to protect your hands. But if they don't stand out as something that's massively beneficial, I will scrap gloves at all costs. I can't stand that. It's kind of like sleeves or tape for stones. I hate it. But sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah, I know. I have a buddy that I just started training. He's just starting off in Strongman. And so I think he's 220, 225, something like that. And I talked him into doing his first novice Strongman competition, actually the one that I just helped out at. And he liked it, but one of the first things he did was he went and bought some of those stone sleeves. And I tried them out and I was like, I feel like they make it harder. Like, I feel like when I have skin, like I don't mind if it gets, ripped or cut or whatever else from the stones or anything like that. But at least with the skin, I feel like I can feel the stones. When I put the sleeves on, maybe it holds them better, but I can't feel the stone. And so like, I can't
really, okay.
I don't know. Like, I feel like if it's on my skin, I can feel where it's balanced and everything else. When I've got those sleeves on, like, I don't have that feedback. And so like, I just felt like I was slipping more with them. And like, it just, I don't know. I didn't like them.
Need some practice to get used to them.
Yeah.
What kind of sleeves were you using?
I don't know what brand he was. He bought, he probably spent like $400 with Evolution Athletics, and he probably spent about $600 on Cerberus. So I think it was one of those, and then he bought a couple other random things too.
Tell me he used my code at least for Cerberus.
I think he did. I think he went through. I know he waited for one of the sales. He's in the military, so he used waited for a sale for military going on, and then I think he used your code or Bobby's or something like that.
Not Bobby's. Bobby doesn't deserve it.
So, ooh, okay. I might get him on the channel. But yeah, no, and it's one of those things where I was like, Well, and I even tried it. Well, actually, here I'll pull up the video too. I tried it on the Husafell stone too a little bit ago. Where was that? Because they had a shield at the gym, and so just spur of the moment. Where was it? Here it is. Spur of the moment. I was like, okay, I'll try them. We loaded it up to 380 pounds, I think, for the shield. And the sleeves right away started slipping, and then they slid down my arm onto my forearms. So I had a massive bruise right here where it bunched up.
Okay.
And then the second one, I cinched them down way tighter. And then, we dropped the weight to like 280. And then it was like a piece of cake. And I was like, well, I could just keep going with this. Like as soon as I picked it and they didn't move at all, I was like, I can just keep walking with this thing forever.
Okay.
So I could see how they could help given the circumstance or whatever, but generally speaking, I don't know. Like, yeah. And then I did a couple laps with that.
You might have to tape the top bit to your forearm, keep it from sliding down. That's kind of what I've seen with most of them. I think there's one brand, BTB sleeves. I kind of went through all their stuff, and I didn't see a lot of guys taping them on. I think they must stick pretty well.
Huh. Okay.
So I'm going to try those out.
Yeah. Because like, I don't know. It might be something where I just need to play with them more to get a better feel for it as well. But I didn't care for them. Well, and I didn't like having a massive bruise on both my wrists where they slid down and bunched up and then cut off all the circulation. And like,
that kind of.
I was like, this is way less fun. I'd rather just go, bare skin on it and just bear hug it and do it that way. But whatever.
That's the way I would always go. Is the only reason I am even considering putting something on my forearms is because of sweat. Like I said, in Russia, I was on pace to easily win that event, and then just all of my tacky was gone all of a sudden. It was like, what the hell just happened? And none of the stones were that heavy, but they were kind of slick. So even if I got somewhat of some stick from previous guys going, it wasn't enough to lift the 440 was the last one. I just kept sliding on my chest and through my arms. And so out of that frustration born new necessity for different tools, I guess.
There you go. That's something too, because like, I've kind of seen like it seems like especially when it's warmer. And you have way more experience in this than I do. But when it's colder, I don't think you really see it as much. But when it's warmer, it seems like by the time the last guys are going on the stone, if everyone's been using a lot of tacky, the tacky starts to get more slick than anything else. And you start getting syrupy. Yeah, and especially if guys are putting those massive gobs on their arm, it just builds up on the stone, and it's like it's like oil instead of tacky on there.
Amateurs nowadays put so much tacky on. It's kind of ridiculous. It's like, look, either the tacky's going to work or it's not. Putting more on is not going to help you. If it's going to come off of your skin, it's all going to come off or it's all going to stay. So that extra half jar of tacky is completely unnecessary, especially because, what was my first stone in training, I think last weekend, it was like a 365 over at Untamed Strength. So there's a lot of guys that use that stone. Yeah. I remember trying to pull my hands off. And I mean, there was so much tacky on it already. I had to rip myself away from it.
It's a workout just to let go of the stone.
And then you kind of worry, like, if you pull too hard, you pull the stone back off the platform. Like, there's that whole fiasco you got to worry about.
Well, and tacky's just a pain to clean up afterwards anyways. Like, there's not a quick, easy way to wash it off. Like, you got to soak it, or I think – were you the one that was saying that you use like diesel or something like that to clean it off? Like,
I have tried everything. I have tried everything from gasoline and like carburetor spray to orange glow and dissolve it, and what was it? It was some kind of a creamier cleanser, but it was pumicized, so it had little grains of pumice in it. And when I bought it, I didn't realize that. I just remember squirting a bunch on my hand and then rubbing it into my forearm, and it's grains of pumice on that fresh stone rash. So, I mean, I've tried everything,
You're rubbing sandpaper on.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, you're rubbing sandpaper in an open, like, scrape, like fresh, stone rash. But
toughen you up, yes.
Yeah. And the WD-40 was always the best back in the day. But then the orange dissolve it, whatever, that worked pretty well. And then Cerberus has a tacky cleaner that works pretty well. So I just use either one of those two. That's the way to go.
I haven't used grease yet.
Bacon grease works. So does like canola oil. And that's the only thing I would recommend using canola oil for, is either lubricating engine parts or getting tacky off. Otherwise, it's just garbage.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. We don't really keep much of it around here. So no. Oh, that's interesting though. I've never tried canola oil for removing tacky. I've tried baby oil before, and it works all right. I think WD-40 is the one that I found kind of works the best for me, and a ton of towels, I guess, or
But you always need a couple tacky towels, and never ever expect to do anything with that towel ever again. Because it's done. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because when I first started getting into stones, the other guy that I was training with, he was like, "Oh no, like I have an Atlas Stones shirt that I wear if I'm going to wear a shirt where you just go bare skin." And I was like, "Why would you have a designated shirt for stones?" And then the first time doing it, I was like, "Oh, I get it. Like you wash the thing multiple times, it's not coming out." That's
one session to know why you have tacky shirts and stone shirts and towel. Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Because I washed that shirt multiple times. After that, there's still tacky in it. I was like, okay, I get it. That makes way more sense. All right.
While we're on the subject of stones, let's go ahead and talk about the stone off in the qualifiers. Now, how is that supposed to work? Do you know?
So in the qualifiers, it sounds like there will be 5 guys, and then the stone off will be between second and third place in the qualifiers. So it's basically giving third place a shot at making it back into the finals. Basically,
it's like different weights, right?
No, well, they've done it both ways. So once they've done it, they've done like a stone run, I think, and it was whoever finished first won.
That was last year. They had 8 that they had to do.
Yeah. And then the other times that they've done it is they've just done stone for reps over the bar. So you're just passing it over to the other guy, and then he passes it back to you, and whoever can't do a rep at the end of it loses, basically.
So the way that I read that was there's an increase in weight, and then it goes up to 210 to finish the guys off. So I think the way it was written was maybe we have 3 or 4 stones, 5 stones. You pass it over, he passes it back, you pass it over, you pass the next one back, you pass that one over, you pass it back. And then we get to, if we both make it to the 210, we kill each other on that one. Now, I don't know if that's quite right, but that's a cool way of doing it. That's pretty brutal.
Yeah. I personally, I kind of wish they wouldn't do a stone off. Like I wish they do like a wild card or something where it's like, okay, everyone who gets first and second is set. Like you made it to the finals, and then like you could do like 2 highest ranked third place guys make it or something like that.
I like the stone off, but it needs to be like a handicap needs to be given. So let's go back to 2019, I think it was, Novikov versus Trey Mitchell. Novikov had a 9-point lead over Trey. He should have gotten like 4 reps for free or 5 reps for free. So like 1 rep for every 2 points handicap. So Trey has to do, 4 reps before Novikov even gets in. I think that would kind of balance it out and make it to where second place still wants to fight for more points. So you got the guys fighting harder for more points so we can have a better handicap going into that last event. And that way you keep that battle going and you reward the effort at the same time. I think that's the best way to go forward.
I think that would be a great way to do it too. Cause I know that happened with Novikov and Mitchell. And then last year there was another one where it was Terry Hollins and I forget who the other guy was. And Terry had a decent lead as well. And then he ended up losing in the stone off. And so
Small Stellis. Ivar Small Stellis. Yeah.
Yeah. Who I love, he's a great athlete and everything. And I'm glad he made it to the finals, but like Terry was leading that heat basically until I think the second to last event or something like that. And then Brian passed him and got first.
Till the clean press medley. Yeah. So, on the one hand, I see what you're saying, but on the other hand, Terry screwed himself when he decided to share points with Brian on the deadlift. If Terry hadn't agreed to that tie and he'd have gone for the win, Brian may not have either beaten him or wanted to beat him. And that's Terry's shot right there. That was him going into the final because they were only a point apart or something going into that last stone event. So Terry kind of screwed himself on that. That's why you don't agree to share points. You fight the whole freaking time. Don't let some guy talk you into, hey, let's share points so we don't kill each other. Nah, screw you. We're going to kill each other.
Brian can be very convincing, I've heard. So
screw that crap, man. I think that's chicken shit.
But,
sorry for the language. I think that's
But and then here's the train pull too.
There we go. So I'm sure he's got gloves. Yeah, see, he's got gloves on because it was way
he's wearing gloves.
And right in the African sun. And Sacramento can get hot. It won't get like Houston hot, but the sun is bright. And any kind of metal like that is going to heat up. So I think that's one of those you'd wear gloves on.
Yeah, right. And like personally, I think the train pole is way cooler than the airplane pole. Like the airplane pole is cool, but we've seen it dozens of times now. And like the train pole,
something different.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, especially because you have like the rungs of a ladder, you're basically climbing a ladder doing it this way, which I'm assuming they'll do again. I haven't heard one way or the other yet, but like, I don't know. I'm excited. I think that's going to be awesome to watch.
Yeah. I think, let's just put it this way. You're pulling a freaking train. How many people can say I've pulled a train? I mean, how many people can say I've pulled a plane? But, when you can say I have planes, trains, and automobiles, you win.
Yep, I know. I agree with you there. Oh, and John says, I'm with Travis. Fight it out.
It's that old school mentality, man.
Yeah. No sharing points.
Well, I'll just leave it. I've already made my point, said my piece.
And I mean, like, I can see both sides. If you think that you're really solid, especially if the next events you think you're going to be strong in and everything, you're trying to save energy for the finals or whatever. I can see that side, but at the same time, like, you got to fight to win,
Otherwise, you end up like Terry and losing out because you made a deal early on.
Yeah, which was kind of a bummer too, because like I felt that he had a good shot in the finals and everything too, with how he was looking that year and everything.
He was great. He was looking very good.
And then all of a sudden he's like, not even going. And I was like, that hurts. Whatever. And then there were and then the overhead medley, because
we don't have those dumbbells, right? We just have circus dumbbell, circus barbell, and an axle, I think.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Which I don't know, like I was kind of hoping, just because of the way everything else is going. I was kind of hoping they were going to do some like funky overhead implements again. Some stones or kegs or whatever else. But
yeah, we don't need to get too crazy on the overhead stuff. We'll just leave it at those.
No. Leave it simple. Okay, I was wondering what your opinion was on it, but I guess you have
the log press and the strict pressing stuff is where guys really have my number. With barbells, axles, and dumbbells, I can keep up a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
That's just my personal preference. But it's okay. We got a log in the final. So log for Max in the final now.
I know. Which
guys, like, if we've got Graham Hicks going, if Oberst makes it, if even Luke Stoltman's a hell of a log presser. It's going to be a massive number this year.
I know. That's one of those things where, like, I was pretty stoked when I did like 275 or whatever pounds, not kilograms, on the log. I was like, finally getting closer to 300. Overhead stuff has never been. I've got 7.5 foot wingspan, and I got these little twig arms here. So like,
I feel your pain, man.
Like, man, stones I can do all day. Those are fun. Overhead stuff or bench, anything like that, I'm like, it's never been my strong point.
Yeah, bench. You just keep bench. Bench press sucks. I'm not a fan.
I know. And then John commented again. He said, for what it's worth, Terry told me he wouldn't have made it anyways, because if he won the deadlift, the count back goes to circus, which he didn't do well on. So, well, there you go.
Okay. But the circus dumbbell was after the deadlift, so he shouldn't have known that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sorry, Terry. All right, I'll quit picking on you, man.
Yeah, right. And then I was super stoked to see that they're going to bring Pickaxe Hold again. Like, I know it's a boring event for a lot of people.
Are they going to do it like this, or are we going to have it kind of like the Thor's hammer thing where it's standing up?
I think it's the Thor's hammer style. That was kind of more my understanding of it.
That looks totally different right there. That forearm, you better have flexible wrists with strong fingers so it doesn't start slipping out of your grip.
Better start stretching, I guess, just in case.
Yeah.
But from everything that I've heard, it sounds like it's going to be more like when they did like the champagne holds or the Thor's hammer hold or something like that, where it's upright more.
Upright, vertical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm not making that call, so don't shout. Don't call me on that later. If you do poorly on it, I don't want to hear anything about me giving you bad advice.
I'm blaming you 100%.
Yeah, right. As long as it doesn't end up on the video or anything, then we're good. But yeah, and then I think that's and then the stone off, but which they're not even showing a stone off run. They're just showing a normal stone run here. So,
well, that was technically a stone off because they had to do those 8 stones. That was last year's. They had to do the 8 stones, whoever got the faster time. And
right.
I think Max gets beat on this. I think they both do 9 stones, but I can't remember who it was that beat him, but he went a little bit faster.
Yeah, got him on time. Which I was talking to JF about it, and JF said Maxime has been training stones like crazy. Apparently, he's coming in this year ready to do a stone off. So we'll see.
He's a strong guy, man. He just kind of looks like he came out of the woods. You know, he grew up, looks like bears chopping trees down, dragging them back to the cabin for firewood. Yeah, he's a strong guy. I remember the first time I really paid attention to him was the first Arnold qualifier in Santa Monica. And the first 3 events. He won outright the first 3 events, and then the deadlift kind of slapped him on his ass a little bit. But you know, to beat that group of guys 3 events in a row, one of which was log press, like holy crap, man. Strong dude.
He's strong. He's very much, well, I mean, we have a whole batch of like up and coming guys right now. Cause I mean, you got Tom Soltman, Alexei Novikov, who's won it, I guess, but he's.
Can we call them up and comers though? I mean, they're kind of established at this point.
Well, I mean, for the next 4 or 5 years, I'm expecting them all to be, you know, regular faces, I guess, or whatever. Like, because there's some of the guys, you know, like, I mean, not to call him out, but I feel like Brian's still going strong, but I feel like he's kind of winding it down a little bit. He's focusing more on his businesses. He's kind of doesn't have that fire that he used to. If I don't know, do you get that vibe or?
You know, when it comes to Brian, when I watch him, some people call it being smart, but I feel like that fire went out when he started saving energy for the finals.
Yeah.
And so when I watched him in the qualifiers, it's kind of like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I a little bit more. And then, you know, when you save energy, consciously save energy too many times, it starts to impact all of the way you compete. It becomes a habit. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I know. JF was saying that he thinks Brian's going to win it this year. He said he thinks with the events and everything going for it, he said he thinks Brian's going to take his 5th. We'll see. I mean, and that's something that I've talked to a lot of other people too. Like everyone, when you're competing at that level, you know, a bad night's sleep can have a drastic effect or something like that. You know, like there can be big factors that can change, you know, first place to third place or you know, something like that.
A small slip on any event can knock you down a couple places. Absolutely.
Yeah.
As far as like the losing sleep kind of thing, we're professional athletes. You know, when guys start to make excuses like, oh, you know, they didn't have the right eggs for breakfast, or they didn't have this, or this happened to me, or we all know things would have been different and such. And like, you're a professional athlete, man.
Yeah.
Take whatever happens and make the most of it, and know that you gave it 100%, and don't give any excuses for the result. You know, and that's why I have a hard time saying, you know, like I missed that last stone in Russia, but it was completely my own fault. You know, there was all sorts of other factors that I have now taken into account so that I can improve myself and be more prepared in the future. But, you know, I'm a professional freaking athlete. I don't get to use that as an excuse for why I perform the way I do. The only reason I would ever accept that these factors actually happened is so that I can learn from them and improve myself in the future.
I like that. Take some ownership, basically.
Total ownership. Yeah. Yeah. I'm anti-victim mentality, man.
I've noticed that from what I've seen and just learned about you. Yeah.
There's something about it when you accept that you are the cause, 100% the cause of your own reality. It gives you power. Yeah, it also kind of sucks to have to take accountability for some of the crap that happens to you. Like, well, a car accident wasn't my fault, but you know what? You were there in your car. Take some accountability. You didn't have to be driving there at that moment. Yeah, it's bad luck, but owning the moment means you now have the power to change the outcome in the future. When you say that, oh, this thing happened to me, like, there's a whole world of people who let life own them. I don't want to get too off traffic or off topic, but they let life own them because they always say it's not my fault, or it's not fair that, or this happened, or that. Boo freaking who? Who's it affecting? You. Who's got the power to change it? Only you. And the only way you could change it and know that you have the power to change it is to accept responsibility for being there in the first place. But yeah,
that's a good point. I mean, yeah, that's actually kind of to go down this rabbit hole a little bit further. It was really interesting because, like, as much as I dislike most colleges and a lot of the professors very much teach a victim mindset and everything, and how all that, especially with a lot of the English classes and stuff like that. I had one English professor who actually went into a whole tirade, which I remember still, about talking to all these kids, because it was a bunch of young kids, freshmen in college and everything, talking to them about how nobody else can make you happy and nobody else can make you angry. That is your decision of your reaction to those events,
That's
and like
exactly it.
And like, there were a ton of kids that wanted to argue with him a ton about it. And they're like, well, what if this happens? He's like, so what?
You can choose how you respond.
Yeah, you can still choose how you're going to respond to it. And
that's exactly it. Dude, I love that professor.
I know. Yeah, teaching English, like, I didn't expect this in an English class, like maybe in a philosophy class or something, or like, but like, I was like, cool. Like,
that's wisdom at its finest, man. And I hope it impacted some of those kids. Sound like it impacted you anyway.
Oh yeah, like, I still remember it to this day. Like, I was like, that's so true. Like, well, that's one of the when I was going through training with the Navy SEALs and all that sort of stuff, they had us read a bunch of books about, like, mindset and all that sort of things. And one of the ones that we had to read was a book by Viktor Frankl, who was a psychologist who ended up in the concentration camps. He was a Jewish psychologist.
Yeah.
And he had a couple of chapters talking about stuff. And, like, it was really, because these people, like, in the concentration camps, they're getting, it was horrible. But
yeah, that's kind of a raw deal on that aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's still one quote that I remember where he's like, I've learned that all can be taken from a man except one thing, his decision of how he'll react to the circumstances that he's presented with. And I was like, to go through the concentration camps and come out with that mindset that, like, everything can be taken from me except one thing, and I still have power to react how I am going to react. I still have that ability. And
exactly, they can never take that away from you.
Yeah,
like, nobody can take that from you. That is where your real power lies. Hell yeah, I like that. And I was just writing that name down because I know that name, and I totally forgot that I wanted to read some of his stuff.
Yeah,
awesome.
Exactly. It was I forget the name of the book that they had us read. I'd have to look it up again. But I just remember, like, reading that and just being like, man, like, you're right. Life sucks sometimes. I can still choose how I'm going to respond to that. Like, it's still, I can quit or I can keep moving forward. And yeah, like,
Yeah, that's what it's all about right there, man. You can go through life letting it push you around, saying it's so-and-so's fault that I'm unhappy, or my husband should make me happy, or my wife should make me happy, or like, man, you're wasting so much time going externally for all of this stuff,
so much energy too. Like it's exhausting blaming everyone else all the time. Like,
yeah. Once you realize that, once you realize that the power is in owning everything, it becomes so exhausting. You realize like how much effort you've been putting into blaming the rest of the world for everything. So it's like a huge weight coming off of your chest. It's like freeing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hell
man. But awesome. Well, we should get back on topic, I guess.
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah. Slight sidetrack. It's good. But anybody listening out there, take that lesson to heart. That's the way to live.
Exactly. Listen up, everybody. Take a word of wisdom from Travis Ortmeyer. And then the final event. So the Giants Medley, which they're not doing the farmers to yokes this time. It's something different, right? It was
yoke frame, I think.
Yoke frame. Okay, that's right.
And I don't know.
Which I'm interested.
I'm guessing it's probably going to be 1,000 pounds and 800 pounds, something like that.
Yeah, most likely. Those seem to be their favorites these days. But
yeah,
I love seeing stuff like this. Obviously, I've never attempted a yoke walk this heavy, but
that one looks a little absurd for for a qualifying round. That looks 1,300 pounds is a little heavy, I think.
Yeah. Yes, I would probably agree with that. Man, Kwiatkowski, he's a funny dude.
So not him. I've competed with him once, but it was in a team competition. So I've never actually like head-to-head competed against him. I've never competed with Novikov or let's see, some of the other finalists. Tom Stoltman was also in that team competition. That's the only time I've competed with him. I don't think I've ever even met Luke. So, I've talked to some of these guys online, of course, but Graham Hicks is one I've kind of talked to here and there, but I've never met him in person. So it's going to be fun to meet all these guys,
Yeah.
It from my perspective, it's almost like I'm a rookie again. I'm coming back to this big show, and there's all these faces that I've seen on TV. It's like totally that weirdness of, oh my God, all those guys, But
dude, they
have a level of weirdness of me being gone for a decade and coming back. So it's like I got a unique perspective that I don't think anybody's ever had before.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else has not competed for 10 years and then made an appearance again. Nobody comes to mind, at least.
I know you guys who've gone like 4, maybe 5 years without. I know Thigpen went. Josh Thigpen, my old training partner, he went. I think he went from 2007 to maybe 2011 or 12. So he went 4 or 5 years without going to World's Strongest Man. But then I think that's the most I've ever heard from somebody missing.
Yeah. I think it's going to be fun either way. And I think a lot of them are going to have the same mindset with you though, because like Tom Stoltman literally grew up watching you compete, and now he's going to compete next to you, and so
I've had so many people tell me like, oh man, I used to watch you on TV when I was growing up. And I'm like, on the one hand, that's really cool. On the other hand, I now know what it feels like when I said the same thing to all my heroes when I got into the sport. Like, oh, I grew up watching you on TV, like telling Magnus Samuelsson. Now it's like, Not having seen both sides of that, you know. It's
Yep. I know. It's like, well, I got to because I got to meet Brian a while back, and like got to meet Obi actually this last weekend, which actually that was kind of cool because like, well, here let's go back. I was able to get a picture with him briefly, and I was like, his head always looks big. It's so much bigger in real life.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's a freaking big dude. He's a thick boy.
Yeah.
Was this in that competition in Idaho?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was one. I was just a spotter loader. Like I was just moving stuff around for people and everything. And one, he was just yelling at people from the back of a truck mostly. So
this had an 18-inch deadlift, right?
Yeah, they did it. They did the coin box 18-inch deadlift.
I have a client who competed. It was his first competition. He was
nice. Which one?
Heavyweight novice, maybe. He lives in Coeur d'Alene, so he's a big boy.
There were a couple of them from there. Did he get second in the heavyweight novice?
I don't remember what placing. I don't think he told me what place he ended up.
Okay.
Like we were just so excited with how he PR'd pretty much everything. His name was Nick. Nice. He's about 6'4", scruffy hair, big beard.
That describes about half the heavyweight novice.
I was going to say, I'm thinking that's probably the look up there.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I was definitely one of the cleaner shaven guys.
Like, yeah, you got nice shape to that, nice trim.
Yeah, my wife doesn't let me get it too big. So, yeah, that was actually pretty exciting because I started training with a guy. Maybe 2 months ago or so. He has a pretty sweet strongman setup, and he was already a pretty strong dude. And so me and my other buddy that I've been working with for 4 months now or so, stumbled across him and started training with him and gave him some pointers and everything, and then convinced him finally to come and compete. And he won the heavyweight novice class. And I was like, dude, for like, you know, he had like a 800 something coin box deadlift, and he had like everything, same thing, like everything. He was did really well. So I was like, but he's kind of shorter though. He's 5'9", 5'10", something like that. So I was like,
you know, that's Graham Hicks height. So
yeah. Well, yeah, I was talking to him and I was like, you know, once you get into the open class, you're going to have a lot harder time keeping up with a lot of those guys. But in the novice class, he did well. So,
well, you know, you got to start somewhere. And it's something I try to make it known to all my clients and everybody that, you know, I give advice when they start out. Usually I tell a guy, you know, if you play somewhere between 3rd and 5th, perfect. That's what we want, because that keeps you hungry, but it doesn't give you that feeling of dejection or like just, you know, soul crushing. Oh my God, I got 0 on every single event. You know, a lot of guys never make it back from that. I guess one of the more notable guys that actually did make it back from that is Rob Kearney. So I've talked to him, and I've talked to Derek Poundstone, who's worked with him most of his career. And I guess Rob started out, he wasn't very good. Let's just put it there. He wasn't very good, but, you know, I guess he loved the sport. He loved doing what he does. And, well, I mean, that's the rest is history. We know where he is now. He's massive, strong, and a top competitor.
No, but he's another one that's not that big either. Like he's but he you know, he holds his own now. So
yeah, he more than holds his own.
More than holds his own.
Maybe he gets in. Maybe it'd be great if he gets in. You know, one of the other alternates I think is with Texas Titan Gabe.
Yeah,
he's tough. He looks really tough. I haven't actually. He's another one I've talked to a lot, but never met in person. But, you know, I watch him, and I watch him close because his deadlifts are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think after what happened last year, he would be wanting a little bit of revenge.
I know. That was a pretty rough go for him last year. I mean, especially because like I hate it when it's stuff like that where it's things that are completely out of your control that remove you from competition, like injury and stuff like that. You know,
yeah.
It's one thing to be able to compete and zero on stuff. It's something different to like start to compete and then get hurt or
waylaid by something completely. Yeah,
and it, like.
And good on him for going to the doctors and saying something about it, because that could have probably ended up very bad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you end up with a heart attack or something like that in the middle of an event, like, man, especially an overhead event or anything along those lines, like that could go south really fast.
You know, and it's smart that he did it, because I think I'm a little bit of that old school mentality where I'll fake it. And there's nothing wrong with me, coach. And, I'll keep going. And, so maybe I'll learn something. I'll take a page out of his book. If anything's happening, I'll stay in touch with the doctors. I'll try and be a little smarter.
And then John says, Jeff has me convinced that Travis is making the finals. Think about it. If he's in the top 3 out of a 5-man heat, and it comes down to a stone off, the other guy's in trouble.
I guess it depends on who I have to go against in the stone off. There's a lot of tough guys, but here's something I would like. Me without any stupid sweating or little dumb mistakes, head to head with Tom Stoltman.
Yeah?
Winner goes to the final. I think I would rip my arms off before I gave up.
I'm down. I'd love to see that, dude.
I think it would be, on a good day, whoever wins that battle and goes to the final is in trouble, because there's not too much left.
Yeah. Well, definitely. But like, dude, that would be an insane comeback story. Like, if that happens, they better make a movie about your life, okay?
We may end up making a movie anyway.
Yeah, I'd be down. I'd watch it.
Writing a book.
I think you should, man. I think you'd do awesome making a movie or writing a book about it or something. Or I think it's a pretty cool story.
Hell, it ain't finished yet. We got to write a good ending now.
Well, yeah, true. That's true. And you can't publish it before World's Strongest Man, because then it, if anything goes south, like then it just looks bad.
We got some work to do. Yeah, we got some work to do.
Oh yeah. Well, let's keep going through. So there's the Giants medley, and then the Titans turntable, which this is probably the event that I'm looking forward to the most. I think this is going to be insane.
I'm just curious to see how they set it up. Like, are they going to weld some kind of bar to push on to the side of that, or bolt it on, or what? I'm just pushing on the platform itself,
I'm assuming that they have like an actual adjustable bar for everybody, because everyone's a different height, and so they'll probably set it up similar to like the Wheel of Pain or the Coden's wheel or something like that.
So that wasn't adjustable. That was just one height that you push that log around. I think if we want to keep this primal and old school, it's just going to have to be grab whatever that little ledge is right there and push that sucker.
Either way, this is the event that I'm looking forward to. This is the one that, like, man, I'm like, I don't know. It's a cool idea. Like, this is just kind of like you said, like primal, and just, I don't know. This brings down Strongman, I think, to what I like, pushing a train around in a circle.
Yeah. Old timey Strongman.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Oh, and there's the
height. That's right.
Yeah.
This is one I haven't practiced yet at all.
No? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Better,
I need to break the kegs out and go to work.
I know. I saw Brian posted a video of him breaking his world record in his backyard or something like that. So like, I was like, all right, well, apparently
I want to see that video. I want to see how he set it up.
What's that?
To what is it, like 20 feet, 25 feet high or something like that?
Something like that. I don't remember the exact height that the record's at right now.
And they said it's a 33-pound keg, which is not the pony keg size. That's a full keg size.
Yeah.
Empty, of course, but 33 pounds means that pull's going to be a little different. The shorter guys are going to have a really hard time.
Yeah. Which may also be why maybe JF is expecting Brian to win, because he's got the height and he already has the record. So.
Great event for him, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Either way, like I think it'll be fun to watch. I don't know. I've never found like the keg toss and stuff as exciting as some of the other events. It's fun, but and maybe it's fun. Like I think it's more fun for the athletes. As a viewer, I don't know. There's a lot of other ones I'd prefer to watch. But.
I think as an athlete, it's kind of a breath of fresh air to just do something so light. It's kind of nice to do a keg toss in the middle of a really heavy competition, and this is shaping up to be a really heavy competition.
Yeah. Which, yeah. I mean, there's pros and cons to it being super heavy. Man, Eddie was –
he's thick there, man. Jesus Christ.
No, like God. Little hippo walking around. Well, isn't he the heaviest person ever to win World's Strongest Man or something like that? I remember seeing something about that.
I have no idea what he weighs here, but I would have a hard time betting that he outweighed either Brian Shaw or Half Thor when they won. Half Thor was like 450 or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's a good man. Jeez, that went right over those. Yeah, I mean, either way, they're massive dudes. Like, I don't think I ever have any intention of getting anywhere near that size.
It looks a bit uncomfortable. I mean, right after this one, I think watch him walk away right there. He looks so fit. There's no way that man's tying his shoes. There's no way he's tying his own shoes, man.
Nope. That's why you get a wife. You can't always control stuff like that either. Like it's just,
it's we all had the same platform. I'm the only one that broke. So, it's Strongman. Apparently I wasn't the strongest that day or that moment.
I know.
But I'm curious to see what we get up to this year.
I know. Well, I was talking to Obi, and Obi said that apparently he said he broke the world record in the gym. So, which I guess if you're counting Thor's lift, shouldn't you count Obi's, breaking the world record as well?
You got to weigh the plates and you got to have a strict judge. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't think that Eddie's, Thor's, or any of those should count because they didn't finish the competition.
I know.
It's kind of like powerlifting. Your record only counts if you make all the way through the meet.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think any of those should have counted. That's just me personally. Not to take anything away from their awesome, tremendous achievements, but
I've talked to other people about this too. I'm like, I get it. Like all the competitions were getting shut down, and they were just trying to find.
Yeah, but they did a great job to keep the sport going. I thought it was an awesome thing to do, and I as a fan really appreciated that.
But I do feel like I feel like most of those lifts should have an asterisk next to them and just say it was not completed during a competition. It was completed. Well, with Thor, it was completed in his home gym. On
that note, people have asked me, would you count Thor's record beating Eddie Hall's record? So, all right, already right there, they've set the precedent that Eddie Hall's was a record.
Right.
He used his own equipment, and they went on his time. And he had 10,000 people to get him going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was all staged for him to do that. So that's arguably a better thing, a better setup than doing it in your home gym, because he's on his own equipment, his own platform, his own bar, his own weights. So he knew where to stand. He even says it in his video. He knew exactly which spot he wanted to stand on, all of that. So if we're going to count that because he did not finish the competition, then we have to count Thor's, because it's a single lift on his time, in his pace. You know, I mean, the biggest thing that I don't like about Eddie's record is after Eddie did the 500, there were two other guys still in the race, Benny and Jerry. And it was 30 minutes before they got to attempt. Like, I mean, you talk about cooling off. You know, I think both of them had a hamstring or hurt themselves, but it's because they completely iced over by the time they shut up talking to Eddie. Like, you know, it's a total screw job there. But anyway, we don't need to get on all that.
that was one thing too, where I was like, you know, like, I think if it would have been run a little bit differently, I think Jerry would have had a decent shot at breaking it as well, just because, like, I mean, I don't know.
So the one before it was like 460 kilos, I think, something like that. Benny did Benny's normal setup. He dropped and pulled it off the ground. When he went with the 500 kilos, he did not do his normal setup. You could see how stiff he had gotten. It was not the same pull at all. Benny probably had a really good shot. Jerry had a really good shot, but he cooled down too much. He tweaked his hamstring on it. And he had Kaz in his ear, kind of go, and you know, I have to quote him verbatim. He said, Kaz kept kind of whispering. He's like, as they were interviewing Eddie Hall and talking. Right. Kaz was like, "Oh, they're fucking with you. They're fucking with you, man. They're screwing you." And Jerry's like, "You know, I'm cooling off here, Kaz. I don't need you in my ear telling me this too, man. Come on."
I don't need other reminders. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like,
I know. It's like, I mean, like, all things aside, it was an insane lift. I'm glad he was able to pull it and everything. But it was shady how they ran it. And then, like, and then the whole last year, I totally get, like I said, I totally get what Giants was trying to do, trying to keep the sport, trying to keep content going, basically. But whatever. Anyways.
It's fun to watch. They're all fun to watch. And I mean, a record's a record. These guys did tremendous feats of strength.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I wish I could do anything close to that, you know?
Under any circumstances, perfect day or not. So
I'd be stoked if I could do a 400 kilogram deadlift, let alone a 500. Like,
do we think that this 210 log? I think the 210 record will be broken. I know for a while people were going for 230. That was a big deal. I, for one, do not think 230 will go down as a record. Not at this point in a contest. No chance.
Yeah.
2010, the qualifiers were a little bit lighter. They were a lot easier weight-wise. You know, to get through before Zydrunas had to do this. And then before this event, the log press, it was that sandbag loading medley through the water, which, that sucks the life out of you. But then it was also keg toss. So I guess it depends what events are going to be before the max log this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, because the events before, because you've got the Giants Medley. So it's the Giants Medley, and then the Titans turntable, and then the keg toss.
So if they go
in when you're doing,
unless there's a Zydrunas, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, and you watch
right here.
He almost strict presses it. Like
he gets a little bit of like I don't know, just this belly pop with a little bit of heels coming off the ground. It's belly pop, heels come off the ground. And I mean, that's, I guess with his mass, that moves that log far enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the event after log? What do we got next?
After log, it was the Knack Deadlift, which
for reps.
Yeah. And I looked it up, and by this, so they have Knack construction boxes are what are actually going to be holding the weights on the end of the bar. Okay. So they said it's a standard deadlift bar with the Knack boxes, I think, on it.
Okay.
So it'll be I don't know, it'll be an interesting one to see. Like,
doesn't look like we'll get a lot of flex in the bar. So
probably not. Yeah. And I'm not sure how heavy they're going with it either. And I don't know, like,
that's the other thing.
If they're construction boxes, are the weights just going to be sitting loose in it? So is it going to be more like a coin box deadlift where weights will be like jostling? Or
yeah, they won't have that. Worlds is pretty good about fixing things in place.
Okay. So I've pegs or something.
I've always been very impressed with their equipment guys. And I think it's Gregor Edmonds that kind of heads up that team. I'm really impressed with those guys. They do a great job, from what I've seen, from my personal experience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it'll be an interesting one, that's for sure. I don't know. Personally, I think I prefer the drums on the side. I think those are kind of fun. I mean, obviously there's pros and cons to every sort of deadlift, every sort of, all that sort of stuff. But
I like the big oversized stuff. I think it always looks cool.
Yeah, exactly. It looks intimidating, like you see these things sitting here and you're just like, those are massive. You can see it sliding off on this one here too. Like,
I'm curious. Like, this is 770 for reps. I'm wondering if it'll be more this year in the final. Because he only did like 8 reps, I think, on this event.
Yeah. Well, and you have a bunch of guys that are phenomenal deadlifters who are showing up this year too. So, like, they might go heavier. I don't know.
Well, there's been a lot of deadlifters the last few years. So
yeah.
There's been a lot of deadlifters.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think it's the latest fad. Everybody's really getting into it. So, but JF definitely he's showing himself to be a pretty phenomenal deadlifter.
Yeah, dude is steadily improving. Now, when I first met JF, he was just some quiet, shy guy helping Louis Philippe Jean and Christian Savoy out. And I remember he was just skinny little guy, helping them. He didn't really speak any English. And then that was probably 2008, maybe 2009 at Fortissimus. And, you just see him a couple years later, he's looking a little better. A couple years later, he's still getting better. And then he becomes a force, and you're like, oh, crap. This guy's he's really freaking good. He's one of those that just steadily improved. And he kept putting in the work.
Yeah. Well, and if you look at his WSM appearances, he got like 8th and then 6th and then 5th and then 5th and then 3rd, I think, and then 2nd last year, something like that.
Each time.
Yeah. Every year he moves up the rung by 1.
Yeah.
Like,
wow. Interesting year for him.
And John says JF doesn't care what kind of deadlift it is. He told me strongest deadlifter will win.
I saw that. I watched him say that while he was busy shoveling food into his face like an animal. Like JF,
he's a guy.
Classy.
Oh, I know.
But I think there's guys who are really good at that 18-inch pull. I think Novikov is built perfectly for it. It fit him perfectly.
It's above his knees. It starts.
Exactly.
He's a short dude. He only has to get it 2 inches tops. And
so really. Jerry Pritchett doesn't seem to do a whole lot better on an elevated deadlift than he does from the floor. But I guess Brian was kind of the same way. which kind of makes sense with their wide stance type of pull. It initiates a lot more leg power for them. And when you're pulling from that height, you're kind of taking that away. You're taking that leg drive out. You're getting more glutes and back. So for me, I'm usually way better at an elevated deadlift than I am from the floor.
Do you do more of a narrow stance with your deadlift or wider stance, or?
I've got a pretty moderate stance with my deadlift. And when it comes to my stance for a normal deadlift versus an 18-inch, I probably move my feet out a half an inch or an inch on each side for an 18-inch, just a slight little bit wider. It helps me kind of get my glutes engaged a little more and tighten my back. But from the floor, having a narrower stance, usually if you're flexible enough, or if you're Eddie Hall and you can just force yourself into position, you get more meat pushing against each other, legs and torso, and it gives you a little more boost off of the ground. And it also lets you bring your arms in, which gives you better elevation, it gives you a better start position. But that obviously doesn't work for everybody. So I've tried doing wider stance for deadlift and it just, I don't know, it doesn't quite work for me. So I find that I usually do a narrower stance because I'm pretty flexible for my size, I guess. And so I find that it works well. If you're tall and flexible, usually that's going to be the way to go. 9 times out of 10, that's the way to go. It's usually really thick hips, big hipped guys that need that extra space. They have to push their legs out a little bit. And then, of course, guys with really big legs like Ray Williams or somebody, they can't even put their feet together because there's too much meat in their legs. A lot of Samoan people are that way too, or their stomach is so big that it just won't allow them to even bend over and grab the bar unless they move their femurs out of the way.
Well, and I think that's one reason why Brian does that wider stance too, is because he's a large guy with some wide hips, and so he needs that range of motion, that wider stance to get down there low enough.
And as his belly got bigger, his stance got a little wider. I've noticed.
Exactly. He didn't get weaker, which I was surprised about. Like his strength kept going up, but his stance did get wider as he got more progressed. But
that's the thing. I mean, if you want to keep going as a strongman, you're going to have to be like that. It looks a couple feet away.
Yeah, it's maybe a foot or so further with the beginning stones, and then it gets closer as the stones get heavier.
Do you think it actually does get a little closer as they get heavier?
It's hard to tell.
Okay.
I don't know without actually having, a tape measure and being there, I guess, but at a glance it kind of looks that way.
I need to get on the messages and start asking some of these guys their firsthand experience.
Yeah, definitely. And John says, all I heard is Travis Overmeyer watches my stuff.
I try to watch it all, man. Game tape. You want to know everything you can about everyone.
There you go.
I noticed as soon as I was announced as one of the competitors, Brian Shaw started following me. And I know Brian's interested in me as a person. He's interested in what is this guy bringing.
Yeah. Brian's one of those guys who does his research about everything, it seems like. So,
yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. It pays off. What's this question? Johnny Hansen. I have never met Johnny, and I don't know anything about Chris van der Linde. Is he the South African?
Yeah, from South Africa.
I've seen a couple of his powerlifting videos. He looks strong as a friggin' bull.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that they made it to Worlds because they're both strong dudes. But I was trying to do some research and stuff on them, and they don't have a lot of strongman stuff up there from previous competitions and everything. So I mean, they're kind of both dark horses a little bit. Oh, and John says, watch my interview with him. So he interviewed Chris Vanderlyn, I think. So,
oh, there we go. All right, will
do. Yeah, do your research.
That's why I like these channels, man. That's why I like y'all doing what you do, because you bring people on, you get some insight from them, and it makes it fun for people to get involved in the drama behind the scenes. That's how you really build up a fan base. Like, do I like this guy as a person? Do I not like this guy as a person? I'm going to root for him, or I'm going to root against him. Is it the Raiders or is it the Broncos? And which one do I like?
Yeah, I think that's one reason why Eddie Hall did so well, is because he's kind of a jerk, and like I think people really, I feel like they just liked that. I don't know.
If he was a jerk and wasn't very good, he wouldn't have been likable. But he was a jerk who backed up everything he ever said. So it's like, well, you got to give a guy like that a little bit of respect, because, wow, he said he'd win and leave, and he did exactly that.
Yep. I know. Which – I'm kind of disappointed that he and Thor both left the sport. Like, I get it. Like, I know Eddie did it for health reasons and everything, and he was saying he quit because he didn't like having all that weight, and his heart was wearing out and all that sort of stuff. So I get it, but like, I don't know. Like, I feel like they kind of detracted from, especially Thor, when Thor left, with the way he left and everything. It kind of looked poorly on the sport for him to do it that way. But,
I mean, one thing or another, everybody's going to leave at some point. Some guys are going to stay longer than other people think they should. And, I have to respect them and their decision, because if this fight goes off and they both get paid, neither of them has to work again in their life. So take that freaking deal. Do whatever you want afterward. Try and come back. I mean, I've already proven you can come back after losing 100 pounds of weight or 110 pounds of weight. I mean, it's just one of those things that, if an opportunity presents itself, like a big one like that, you go for it. As far as them leaving the sport from an athlete perspective, good riddance, fine.
I mean, to be honest, I liked Thor early on. But, like, as the years went by and his entourage got bigger and bigger and everything, and I was just like, I don't know. Like,
this is something that got me in trouble at Worlds, and I'm not going to open my mouth again while I'm there, because I'm already probably on thin enough ice with production team and all that. But, some guys get treated a little different than others. Some guys get to just do whatever they want. Some guys don't. And, I'm thinking, like, Thor has 15 freaking guys. I watched a squad event from a couple of years ago. He suddenly has, 3 of the medical staff and then 4 of his own people ripping his shirt off, trying to take his suit off. I'm like, get the hell back from him. Let him be a man and do it himself. Maybe pull his knee wraps off and then help one person help him with his shirt. But this yanking and tearing his shirt off and then having 20 people lodge a protest. Like, come on, man. That's just, I think that's kind of bullshit right there. Thor as a person is probably great, but somebody's in his ear and making him look bad, I think. That's kind of my own opinion on that.
Yeah, and I think it seemed like, especially after he got that role with Game of Thrones, like, it just seemed like everything, like, he started believing the hype about himself, and then he had this whole entourage, like, whispering in his ear, kind of, and
See, I don't know him at that point. I don't know him at all. When I met him, he was just a rookie coming up. And, you know, you see, he was a real nice guy, and I you know, he's kind of quiet. But, you know, when it came to the whole Eddie and him, the dispute, you know, lodging a formal protest, I understand all that. But then going out publicly and saying, friends, I was robbed. Like, you know, dude, at this point, it is what it is, man. Quit crying.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I know. Well, even
understandably, if you feel like you've been robbed, you are going to want to say something. So the human aspect to me says, you know, give the guy a break, because that's a shit situation. I'd be upset too.
Which I totally understand and I get, but like at the same time, like, I mean, you got, you know, 1.5 million followers or whatever. Like, you got to be more careful about like how you present yourself, and like, you know, and just like, I don't know, all that stuff just really turned me off to him.
I think that might be why. That might be why it's been a lot more strict at Worlds, as far as like filming, having cameramen, filming your own events, filming anything. You know, that stuff's all pretty locked down. And, you know, as a competitor, we can't talk about anything until they've announced it somewhere. And I just read the contract and I can't remember the exact time, but, you know, I'll go ahead and keep my mouth shut for a little longer than they say, just because, like I said, I'm already kind of I was the guy who, you know, when things were obviously unfair for the athletes, and not during the competition, but like, you know, things behind the scenes weren't fair, I was the guy that would say something, because I'm the kind of person that, you know, if I like you, I'll tell you. If I don't like you, I'll probably tell you that too. I'm not going to talk behind your back and complain. I'm going to go to the source and I'm going to say, here's what I don't like about what you're doing. And it comes across abrasive, of course. I don't always mean it abrasively. I'm just kind of letting my opinion be known, and the fact that my opinion is shared by this group of people over here. Well, when, you know, that's when they shoot the messenger. So better not to be the messenger.
How you don't get an invite back.
Exactly. But that's all right. You know, I'm there. I'm gonna have fun. I am extremely grateful to have gotten this opportunity. I know it's a massive opportunity, and they did not have to extend this invitation to me. So it's kind of cool, because it's validation for everything that I've been fighting for the last 5 years. Well, for my entire life, but really that focus of the last 5 years coming out of hell. And so I started training again. So, you know, to be able to take that message and present it to the world, you know, that's something so much bigger than just an invite to World's Strongest Man. You know, it's an opportunity given to me to hopefully change a lot of people's lives for the better. So that's where I'm at with everything right now.
I can appreciate that. I think that's a great outlook. Like, it's you know, and there'd be a lot of people that would do well to just be more appreciative of the gifts that they've been given. Like,
well, you know, it's easy to get wrapped up in, you know, I deserve this, I deserve that, because I worked my ass off for it. And, you know, to a degree, people are right. Yeah, you deserve things for working your ass off, but none of it's guaranteed. So be grateful for what you do get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. As rough as it sounds, like, honestly, you're not guaranteed anything. So it's nice when you get anything. So
well, if you take that attitude into the rest of your life, finding gratitude is so much easier, because everything is a gift at that point, you know. And that is something so simple as just having friends and family in your life, because I've been at the point where I had none of that. You know, so everybody I've got now is like a blessing, so to speak. Maybe not everybody is a blessing, But
well, John and I are here for you. Okay,
there we go, man.
We're trying to be a blessing to you. So, we're working our butts off trying to bless you some way.
Much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. Well, we should probably start wrapping this up. I know we've been on for almost 2 hours here, so
that went by
people
quick.
people might be getting tired of watching us. So, but
when it comes to Strongman, I can talk all day, man. I love this stuff.
Oh yeah, well, it's always great having people like you on the channel, or I had Jeff do an interview for my channel a little bit ago, and like it was awesome getting him on because it's like. It's so easy to just have a great conversation going, and then there's other people you get on and it's kind of like pulling teeth, you ask them a question and you get a answer and you're like, all right, nothing else. Okay, cool. Well, we'll go on to the next one.
Yeah. I've seen a few of those pulling teeth, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want it to be miserable for either of us. But cool. But
I guess you just got to find at some point, you find a way to relate to whoever it is you're talking to.
Yeah.
I read this little interview with Larry King, that goofy guy with the suspenders, looks like he was 112 years old for his entire career. The interview, he said, he was asked the question, how did you get so good at talking to people and interviewing? You can talk to anybody. And he's like, it's simply practice. I didn't want to talk. I'm not a very, I'm not an extrovert. I'm not a real outgoing, talkative person, but I made myself keep talking to somebody, especially when it was uncomfortable. Because then you learn how to figure out, how do I talk to this person to get rid of this uncomfortable tension or silence or whatever. And he's just kind of kept practicing. And it's just, you find a way to relate to someone on their level. And, I guess probably one of the secrets, the easiest part is, lose yourself and really find interest in whatever that other person's got. And then maybe it won't be so much like pulling teeth. If you find something like, does a guy like working on trucks? Then we'll talk about diesels. All right.
Yeah. I think that's a great point. Who's the guy who has the big podcast? He's always Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw something with him the other day where he was talking about it, and he kind of said the same thing. Like, just keep talking to people, especially if it's uncomfortable, and always basically have a wealth of knowledge enough where if you ask a question and it doesn't seem like they like the question, have something else already lined up where you can find something else until you find that commonality.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly it. You just keep picking little things. And if they express any interest in one aspect of your question, that's the tangent you take. That's the road you go down.
Yep. Well, I definitely have a lot of work to do in that area, but at least I'm getting practice.
Well, it's easy being on this side because you guys are always want to talk to me about what I love. On your side, I want to try and sit in your seat, try to talk to somebody and figure out what they like. I'd be interested in trying that. I would.
Yeah. It's fun. It's interesting. I think starting this live stream and everything has been really good for me because of that. Because there's a lot of times where people just don't want to talk, and so you're like, well, how do you work it out of them? How do you get them out of their shell? How do you find that commonality? And a lot of the times, once you actually get it to start. Once you find that common interest and find that topic that you really want to talk about, it's pretty easy after that. It seems like once they kind of open up, then you're like, okay. But it takes some
old friends. It's like old buddies talking at that point.
Exactly.
Kind of the way I would think I would want to go is, you got you, and then you got people like Laws, and then like Joe Rogan. You've interviewed so many people now I want to be the guy that interviews the interviewers. I want to go on. I want to get behind because you guys never get interviewed, you know. And I told Laws, I'm like, look, man, you're never the guy getting asked the questions. It's like we need to start poking and prodding inside your brain and see what's going on in there.
Maybe next time. Next time I'll let you do the interview.
There we go. There we go.
Laws would be another one I'd love to get on the channel, and I've asked him a couple times, and just with the time difference, it nothing's worked out. But maybe one day. Maybe one day I'll fly to Europe and talk to him then.
Yeah, there you go. Just go knock on his door.
Exactly. Just show up. It may not go well, but
maybe it could go really well. So
it might. Yeah. I guess if the camera's rolling, just film whatever happens and put that up.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining again today. And dude, I'm stoked. I'm so happy you're making it back. I'm excited to see how you do. And
I hope I can perform to everyone's expectations.
Yeah. Well, I'm with JF. I think you have a decent shot at getting into the finals, and we'll be watching you. We'll be cheering for you at our respective locations. All right, man. We'll take care, and thanks for joining us again.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Yeah.